Hey everybody, it's your Uncle Bear. I suppose it was probably 30, 35 years ago. I was tooling up old Route 63 through Iowa. Beautiful day out, sun's out, birds are chirping, the whole enchilada. I got the window down, I looked back in my mirror, and an old bubblegum machine hit the jackpot back there. I thought, well, hell. So I pull over, this County Mountie starts walking up there. Comes up to my door. He says, "You know why I pulled you over?" So I don't know. I suppose speeding. I said, "But you guys usually don't mess with us for 5 over the limit. I was only doing 60." He said, well, "No." He said, "You ran over a cat back there, a big white cat." I said, "Oh man." I said, "That's gonna screw up my whole day." I said, "I hate doing that." I said, "I didn't mean to. I did. He must have ran out under my trailer or something. I didn't see a cat." He said, "Well," he said, "I think you should go back and apologize to the owners." He said, "They probably live in one of these farmhouses back here." All right, we'll play the game. I said, "My truck okay here?" He said, "Yeah, just leave the four ways on." All right. So I get in his car. We go back to the first farmhouse, and a young lady answers the door. I asked her, I said, "Young lady," I said, "do you have a big white cat?" She said, "No, I don't." She said, "I think the widow, the elderly widow that lives in the next house down, I think she does." I said, "All right." So we went over there. I said, "Ma'am," I said, do you own a big white cat?" And she says, "Well, yes, I do." And I said, "I'm really sorry, ma'am." I said, "I didn't see it, but I said, this deputy said that I ran over your cat. I am terribly, with my semi. I said, I'm terribly sorry." Well, she started to cry. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, what? This just keeps getting better. So anyway, I said, "Ma'am," I said, I feel terrible about this." I said, "Can I give you some money?" Back then, you could pretty much get a cat free at any farmhouse, but you wouldn't be paying more than $20 for one. So I said, "Ma'am," I said, "Can I give you some money? You can get another cat." And she says, "Oh no, that's fine." I said, "It'll make me feel better, please." And so she took the $20. Well, about that time, the deputy, he turns her around and he starts putting the cuffs on her. I said, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" And he said, "Buddy," he says, "I don't know where you're from, but around here selling pussy's illegal." Have a great day, everybody. Be safe out there.